got our paint correction finished, and you know, a lot of times when I do a paint correction on a car, I'd probably ceramic coat it, but since it's mine, I like to use my vehicles a lot of times for when we bring customers in, or when we're doing some of our like trainings, or even when I'm testing. So, you know, I don't necessarily think I want to go through the exercise of putting the ceramic on this car and then, you know, next week deciding that I want to use it for something and compounding and buffing it right back off. So I'm going to use our banana cream wax, which is probably one of my favorite waxes that we carry, just for the pure fact that I can put it on with the Orbital. And, you know, I'll get about 6 to 8 months of protection and, you know, hydrophobic attributes out of this wax just from applying it this way. So what I do is I normally do the same 4 drops that I would do, you know, with our Epic with our Epic compounds, but you know, I'm a little bit more generous with it. The nice thing about putting it on with an Orbital, though, is it might look like you're using a lot right off the bat, but it's putting it on a lot more even, because you're really only, at the end of the day, you can put as much wax on a pad and leave it as thick as you want on the surface of the paint, but all that's really going to do is make it harder to wipe up. And you only get so much of it to really bond to the surface anyways, or coat the surface, however you'd like to say it. So this is the way I like to do it. It's not the way you have to do it. It's just an option that's out there. So the way I do it is I put 4 drops onto the surface of a black polishing pad. And all we want to do here is actually coat the surface. We don't want to do any more than that. So I never accelerate the buffer at all. I just leave it down at speed 1. And this is a Flex 3401. So what I'll do is I'll start here at this fender, and all I'm looking for is application. I want it to totally coat the fender, so you want to make sure that you've got enough product there. But like I said, you don't need to overdo it. So as we go across, you'll kind of follow over my shoulder, and you'll see how much I'm talking about. And we'll start here. We'll go all the way around the vehicle. And once we get done with the hood, I'll grab my microfiber and we'll actually just buff it right back off and we'll be good to go. So, you know, if you're in a high volume situation, this is a great way to do a car. You know, you can normally, you know, wax a car completely in about 15-20 minutes. So that's really, really quick, and it's really efficient. So let's get started. So I'm at speed 1. I'm going to make sure I keep my cable away from the car. And then that's it. We're going to go for full coverage. So you can tell right there, I just did the entire side of the car with those 4 drops that we applied right off the rip. And the whole car is coated across the side. And the nice thing about this is it's going to be a nice thin application. We're still going to get all the wax that we need on that surface in order to give us the protection and the gloss and everything that we're looking for. But we're not wasting product. And it's really fast. And I like to make sure that the pad that I use for wax stays a wax pad. I don't like to cross-pollinate my pads. I know there's some people out there that, you know, they'll use kind of a medium cutting pad and they'll use it for both polishing and compound. You know, to each their own, but I like to keep mine individually used for a single compound. So when I get into a tight area like this, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll come back with an applicator really quick and just make sure that I coat everything. And I'll pop all the doors open and the hatch, and I'll also clean out the jams and hit those by hand really quick as well. This is just a great way to get the overall, you know, larger surface areas done really quickly. All right, so I ran around really quick, made sure that I had everything touched up, we're ready to go. So at this point you can come back and you can see it's actually chalked up a little bit. It's a little bit whiter looking. If you try and wipe it off while it's still wet, it's not going to necessarily be the easiest, just because it'll smear a little bit. You need to give it the time to actually set up. And that's kind of why I was cautioning, if you're working in direct sunlight or something like that, it'll actually set up a little bit quicker than you want it to, and it could become difficult to wipe off. In most instances, the banana cream wax is extremely easy to work with, and that's why I recommend it to a lot of people. So we'll start going here. You'll see how easy it is to work with. When I wipe up, I try my best to keep going from front to back, just in case I should pick something up. If you put a scratch in this direction, your eye picks it up a whole lot easier than if you were to put a mark in going this direction, because it goes with the vehicle. You'll notice I continuously flip my towel over, just out of habit. And over time they will load up a little bit, and you will need to flip it because you'll realize that it's not removing as much at the same time as it was when you first started. Done. So now we'll take it outside, we'll check it obviously, but that's about it. It should be as painless as that when you wax, so. Especially when you use a liquid paste wax like that. That liquid paste wax is really, really easy to work with, and it's actually a great, it's a great product for the speed, because you're providing your customer or yourself, whomever you're doing the work for, with a long-lasting product that really gives a great gloss. So this car looks pretty good for having over 100,000 miles on it and being 8 years old now.